Maybe you guys will love this. I'll just post the same tired shit that people have been leaving online for fucking decades. Same fucking dog shit. How insightful. God damn, this sure is, fill in the fucking blank. Because I'm fucking tired of trying to help you guys.
America is going to space again, and we're going there to stay.
A permanent lunar base, and we're going back to the moon, back to the future, and this time, back to stay.
Turn to the moon by 2020 as the launching point for missions beyond.
And by 2025, we expect new spacecraft designed for long journeys to allow us to begin the first ever crewed missions beyond the moon into deep space, into the solar system. Not just to visit, but to stay.
It marks an important step in returning American astronauts to the moon.
We will return American astronauts to the moon
within the next 5 years.
We're going to go to the moon. We're going to have a base on the moon. We're going to send people to Mars and make life multiplanetary.
The United States will return astronauts to the lunar surface. We will establish the first lunar base camp and the first station in lunar orbit. We intend to land an international astronaut on the surface of the moon by the end of the decade.
You do realize the people who bought into the space propaganda that the other kids who refute it circulate, both parties typically call wandering stars planets. On both sides of this argument, the majority, on 50% roughly enough, bought into the flat earth and 50% bought into the heliocentric horse shit. Neither of them took the time to fucking think about a goddamn thing, which is why you don't see new information, shit that actually reflects reality and would resonate with you. Because people are not cooking with fucking fire. But what the fuck do I know? And I'll try to do my best if I do post things to leave pointless shit like this on the internet for you guys. Due to the lack of participation, among other things. The very few of you who have popped in and watched videos and thought about them, and possibly taken notes, thank you. I mean that, thank you. This is for every kid who's ever said shadow banning, canceling, positive vibes only, or called somebody a hater because it suited their, dogmatic bullshit. These are censorship campaigns. The only things that are promoted, that are allowed to be on the goddamn DARPA internet, typically speaking, are distraction campaigns and or flat-out propaganda. Polarizing, positive vibes only, at best. Pointless shit. Nothing that's constructive, nothing that's going to benefit you and I, and nothing that's pushing the envelope and or remotely insightful. In other words, things you're not supposed to know, that people wax poetic about, in terms of being esoteric or occult, are not privy to you, or you're not privy to them. Pardon me. I'm fucking up a bunch of my words tonight. And needless to say, I'm frustrated. Not that any of this fucking matters, and most of you won't see it, and or think about it, etc., etc. And even if you did, a lot of you probably still wouldn't get it. You still wouldn't get it. Here's a video floating around the fucking internet. And based on what I just said, how likely is it that these kids that are, connected, so to speak, I'm effectively disconnected, because I can teach you things you're not supposed to know. I am sitting on fucking answers, and most people don't realize it, because I challenge them, and I ask them to think for themselves, and the shit that they shop around is dog shit, so I knock their dick in the dirt, proverbially speaking, and people cry themselves to sleep and flip the fuck out. Have yourself a listen, because this is nonsense. Doesn't mean a fucking thing, because all the wrong people are in charge, and you and I are being manipulated.
Holy crap, 1.4 million people watched the video? That means there's millions of people holding each other's hands in solidarity. And for what? It sounds like the beginning of something. Holy crap.
How many of them believe light has speed? How many of them believe planets exist? How many of them believe that democracy means freedom? Those are 3 examples of flat-out fallacies And most people, if you do actually see this, you probably believe one of those things holds water, and it doesn't. It's the absolute opposite of what you were taught, what you repeat, and what you fucking believe. Here's some more old hat, and what you need to appreciate and people don't, which is why they still circulate this video. This guy's controlled opposition. He was always controlled opposition. He never stopped being controlled opposition. What he speaks to in this video, by and large, is uncorrupted for the most part. The very end of it, he's going to use the word universe, which has been hijacked. It's been weaponized. It no longer has to do with what it used to mean. It no longer will lead you to something. Instead, it will open up doors to quantum physics and other garbage. That means absolutely jack shit. Most of you are probably just clamoring to watch the superficial dog shit. How many of you would take the time to knock out a superficial Google search and reason shit out? Pay attention. This is an AI overview. It shouldn't exist. At the top it reads, the word universe was first used in Middle English before 1425 by poet and administrator Geoffrey Chaucer, blah, blah, blah. You know, Canterbury Tales, if I'm not mistaken. What do you see below that? For one, an image that has nothing, no bearing whatsoever on reality. None. So why is that there? And what you see off to the left is a wet dream of a Jesuit priest. But what the fuck do I know? This doesn't represent reality. That's nonsense. But this is the top result on Google. Words have power. These things were chosen for a reason. Because our masters were paving the way. They were misleading people by example through controlled opposition assets. Which is why people like this fella were well-financed and well-circulated. And they still are. You don't believe me? Good. The point is for you to look into this shit on your own, and most people don't. And they won't. What do you see at the very top? And naturally, it's the top of the stack. It reads 685, alien invasion. There's a space for some reason. There's a question mark. And for another fucking reason, there's a period. UFOs? Pyramids, of course. And some fuck all. I can leave extremely long videos online and people will not fucking see them, let alone watch them. How many people have watched this dog shit? Most people haven't figured this much out. Aliens don't exist. They're never going to exist. The closest thing you're ever going to see is a test tube, man-made abomination. This entire narrative is physically impossible. And I'm not talking about the flat earth, and I'm not talking about the heliocentric globe theory. For the fourth and final time, and maybe this is out of order, people are not cooking with fucking fire. But what the fuck do I know? I'm trying to help you, not mislead you. And again, I could teach you things you're not supposed to know. And most of you just want the sensational fucking adult fairy tales, the propaganda. The rabbit holes. These are the paradigms. This is the nonsense that people were spoon-fed. This is why we were granted access to the DARPA internet. This is why social media is free. And people haven't figured that much out. I'm referring to controlled opposition assets, such as Bill Donahue. Many of them have passed away, and they're still fucking circulated on the internet. Because the quote-unquote media, content, exists. And people are slow enough to fucking circulate it. This is when exceptionally slow people fuck up step one. Tell us what to do. What do we do? They will whine. Step one is to think for yourself. Fucking Muppets. But to help you out, have you been trained to carry around a cell phone? Does it have the ability to record videos? Can you use the brain between your ears? Can you write things down if you need to have a goddamn script? Are you capable of public speaking skills? Can you put together a collage? Do you have access to video editing equipment? Such as, InShot or other apps. You have so many fucking tools at your disposal. You could record a video free of the fucking propaganda, but do you use the heart beating behind your chest? Are you thinking for yourself? Are you a lazy sack of shit? Are you contributing to everything that is fucking things up? And again, I'm being really lazy and fucking with my words tonight. It's bad. It's a bad presentation. And hopefully this is the last one for quite a while. But we will see. Just the same. Think before you react. That's the point. Look into things. Don't buy into things. That's the point. But tell us what to do. That means you're reacting. You didn't take any fucking time to think about it. The reason I'm saying this is based on popular reactions because most kids usually will run right up to my doorstep and say, "What do we do?" What do I mean by this? You could read a Bible and you could figure shit out. You can familiarize yourself with something known as the tetramorph. It has a lot of fucking names. But you'll hear people in, astrological circles, and they don't connect the fucking dots. They don't understand these things. Because they aren't fucking cooking with fire. I know I've said that twice in this video. Most people don't recognize what I point out, why I'm complaining, why this is such a big fucking deal. Instead, you'll watch this video in a minute and be like, "Oh my fucking God, that's amazing!" This shit is old hat. It's as old as the fucking Bible. It's not new, and there are new things that you could learn and be taught. They're nothing but answers to reality. And you don't see them pop up on the fucking DARPA internet. You do not find them in books. People you know, like, and love do not know these things. They're riding each other's coattails, walking in lockstep, and all the other goddamn analogies that are rattled off constantly. They're in a circle jerk. Most people call it the truth community. Other people will squeal at the top of their lungs in all capital letters, "Science!" And none of them, and I'll say this one last time, are cooking with fucking fire. But what do I know?
But I want to tell some of you folks that may feel a little strange about this. If you have an old...
Here, I'll play this without all my background noises. You need to hear this first. And the fact that I've taken any time to say more than I intended to when I first started out should also tell you that I do fucking give a shit, and that's why I'm trying to help you. But most people don't get that. There's a method to my madness. Most of you are too stupid to fucking pick up what I'm putting down. I did insult you intentionally because you need to pull your head out of your asshole and quit fucking shit up. And you are fucking shit up. I guarantee it. People don't have a clue what's going on. Case in point, how many flat earth kids have you seen post Bill Donahue to the goddamn DARPA internet and circulate the propaganda, which clashes with everything they've ever said about NASA, every bad word they've spoke. But Bill Donahue talks about the Bible. Just like that, you gullible sack of shit, you were roped in and you're working for our masters, like I constantly reiterate. And this applies to damn near anything. Like I keep stressing that you believe in, that you think you know. You and I have been had. We have been manipulated, and we're continuing to be manipulated. If you're using Wi-Fi or the internet or electronics, you're being manipulated. If you're going out the door and you're talking to somebody, in society, they're going to manipulate you, and you're going to manipulate them, and you're going to mislead one another. You're going to walk each other down the fucking primrose path. Happily doing so, mind you. Again, I'm fucking up all my words tonight. But just the same. In other words, you are making it worse and worse for me. No, really. You maintain my cageless prison and vice versa. But have you pulled your head out of your ass? A lot of you would probably assume you have. But 10 to 1, if I challenge you, you're going to rattle off some fucking superficial fluff. Garbage. And or, if I threw something at you that does reflect reality, you won't be able to answer the goddamn question. You won't know what I'm talking about. I'll have to hold your hand and teach you things. Things you should have already fucking figured out. Why do you think that I keep stressing people aren't cooking with fire? I can't sit down and have a straight, conversation with somebody about shit that fucking reflects reality. They do not have eyes to see. They do not know what's going on. And they are ruining things for themselves and you and I. And it's only getting worse. That's why things are bad. That's why I say that often. That's what fucking tracks. And most people want to put their head in the sand and play make-believe.
But I want to tell some of you folks that may feel a little strange about this. If you have an older Bible, take a look in your Bible, open to the book of Matthew, okay? And if you have one of those older Bibles, you're liable then to see the face of a man, because Matthew is the Aquarian gospel. And it means the wisdom of God overwhelms the intellect of man. Then go to the book of Mark, and you'll see there a picture of a lion, and it's Leo. And the idea there is the Spirit of God overwhelms the human spirit. Then if you go to the book of Luke, you'll see the picture of a bull, and that is the power of God overwhelms the power of the animal nature of man, which is Taurus. And finally, in the book of John, you'll see an eagle, which is Scorpio. Now, Scorpio is in its lower nature a scorpion, but in its higher nature it's Aquila, the eagle, which is the highest consciousness, which overwhelms that which is the carnal mind of man. So that's how tied into the zodiac early Christianity was. So try it. Take a look at it, and you'll find it. And once you see that, then you'll realize that if you're trying to understand the Bible without understanding the zodiac and understanding the constellations, you're never going to get anywhere. Because the whole Bible is built around the 12 constellations of the zodiac, which is the 12 disciples, the 12 apostles, the 12 gates to the city. Even Jacob named his children after the 12 signs of the zodiac. He had 12 sons and 1 daughter, but 2 of his sons were twins, which is Simeon and Levi, Gemini. So you can't get away from it, and if you're not looking at it, you're missing so very, very much. It doesn't say anything didn't happen. It says everything that happens on Earth is coordinated with that which happens in the universe, because it's all one.
It's a short clip, would you agree? I said a lot in this video, and I taught you a lot. A lot of people don't understand half the shit that I fucking left in here, probably. And it's very simple to reason out if you just use your brain. Sit with the information for a minute. But it's the Bill Donahue clip is fairly short, right? It is rife with lesser magic. It is rife with fucking propaganda. And by extension, some people will watch shit like this and say, there's no propaganda in there, bro. Just because he didn't bring up aliens. Is he associated with it? Yeah. Yeah, he is. But he also did use some of the key words that have been weaponized based on social engineering campaigns that people are blissfully unaware of because most people don't understand what the fuck the Tavistock Institute is. And that's just one bit. It's just one fucking aspect. I took some books that I was going to flash having to do with something else. But I took them and put them in a box and they're elsewhere right now. Some of this is interesting, but if you look at it closely, this is garbage. That's incorrect, and this is propaganda. Now, if I left it at that, based on what's in this video, could some of you figure out what the fuck I'm talking about? I complained about the fact that people don't take notes. Did you take notes? Most of you probably didn't. Most of you didn't even think to. When I said that, how many of you paused the fucking video and grabbed something to write with and something to write on? Or you started, you brought up a blank text message if you have to do it that way. So you can type shit in. How many of you did that? I don't know if this fellow was a controlled opposition asset. I don't know who financed his endeavors. He did promote propaganda. He functioned as a controlled opposition asset. I just don't know if he got compensated by the people who were pulling our strings. This is Jose Aguileras. Yeah? And some of you might know who I'm talking about. He's a guy that shit out books having to do with the 13 months and the 13 moons. And by the way, when you bring up a browser now and you click on shopping to try to find some of these books, it's going to take you to a browser. I mean, Google no longer has the browser option built into it, in other words, which is cumbersome, and typically the results are piss. These things are by design, not coincidence. In other words, our masters want you to do that. They want you to bridge into something else, something that is connected to Google, something that is a bigger thought, and that's a shitty way to fucking put it. Extra steps. That's a simple way to appreciate what I'm getting at. It used to be part of Google. It should still be part of Google. There's no reason for it to not be part of Google. Some of you might whine, oh, but there are servers and there was just too much to bear and blah, blah, blah. How much fucking money does Google have? And yes, most people use Google, but how much fucking money does Google have? How many resources does Google have? And if that's an issue, it should be remedied. Think about it. So let's see if it comes up. Nah, it didn't come up. Because Google is not a search engine. Did it come up that time? No. Let's try this. 15 minutes later. You have to be very specific. I did punch in Jose and I said argue. A-R-G-U-E. I didn't put an accent, but it should have brought up the fucking book. That's my point. And these are two that this one I have in-house. It's shit. And I have this one in-house. It's shit. This guy misled people is my point. Same book. Slightly different tint. I threw more than one thing at you. Can you spin plates? I mean, most people can't these days. Attention spans are under attack. Most people don't realize it. Instead, they just wander towards the bright light. It's a bad way to put it. So, I recorded this fucking video. How many of you can reason out why I'm talking about Jose now? Is it relevant to what I left on here? Some of you might already know what I'm talking about. And I am dumbing it down, and I am being condescending. And it's because I've asked questions online numerous fucking times. Some of which are just this fucking easy. And people spin their wheels too much. They overthink it. They run in the wrong direction, they react, and a number of other things. And it's easy to do that, myself included, and I am aware of that. I'm trying to help you guys retool your brain to, recalibrate the system, so to speak. To pull your head out of your ass and think critically more often than not. And I have to remind myself to do the same thing, and I don't always. Some days are worse than others, etc., etc., etc. So if we go back, let's review that Bill Donahue bullshit again. And if you listen closely, well, it is lesser magic, and our masters are fucking laughing at us. Because Bill was paid to recite a script, and in that script, in the teeny little clip that I played for you, that a lot of people are circulating online, he tells you something that flies in the face of the fucking retarded shit that most people have bought into these days. Because they don't understand how time works. They don't understand how the system they are a part of works. Instead, they think it's the flat earth or the globe theory, which means they don't understand how their body works. They don't understand how shit works. I'm talking about time and light, life and death, etc., etc. I'm pretty sure I've said in this video I can teach you things you are not supposed to know. Leaving them online for a bunch of duds is not beneficial to you and I. Because they're not going to do anything good with it. They're going to corrupt the information. That much is sure as shit. After 10 years of me doing this, it's a given. Time for a review.
That if you're trying to understand the Bible without understanding the zodiac and understanding the constellations, you're never going to get anywhere. Because the whole Bible is built around the 12 constellations of the zodiac, which is the 12 disciples, the 12 apostles, the 12 gates to the city.
Is he saying 13 or is he saying 12? Which is it? There are deeper roots to this, of course, and I've left some of them online. I've spoon-fed you guys some of this shit. It's stuff that people don't figure out because they're not thinking. They're not thinking about it at all. They're clicking repost and regurgitating the fucking propaganda. Which is why you see 13 moons and 13 this and 13 that. It's also in the programming, the propaganda on the big screen and the small screen or the box. But people aren't paying attention. They don't have eyes to see. It's almost like they're all, functionally blind and they're leading each other around, holding each other's, coats. The back of their coats. It's fucking ridiculous. It is fucking ridiculous. I'm sure it's almost as good as listening to me rant, right? Because that's the last thing you want to hear. You want to be told that you're doing a good job, right, pork chop? You can do no harm. You've got this. You're a shining star. And you don't poop.
Even Jacob named his children after the 12 signs of the...
Who the fuck is Jacob? You guys know this. Some of you guys know this by now. Some of you knew this probably before you encountered me because you went to church. He's talking about the zodiac, which a lot of people call the fixed stars. Or the zodiac also crudely translates to the little animals and other variations of that sort. It's really the guided stars, and you're not going to hear that come up in a video, and especially not fucking Bill Donahue. Bill, right? Bill. Sometimes I want to say the other one, Phil from fucking, The Box. Either way, back to point. It's the guided stars above. It's the heel catcher. I'm talking about the 12 signs, the 12 houses. Or you can say the 12 tribes and all the other stuff that he rattled off already. The 12 gates, etc., etc. It's the same thing. Same fucking thing. Not 13, 12. So Jacob is the heel catcher, and in the Bible, he was renamed Israel, which is why we have the earthly abomination and that entire fucking agenda that is, blood and flesh, a blood and flesh agenda, a golden calf, if you will. A bastardization of something that is by all rights divine. In other words, that's another thing I shouldn't actually tell you guys. Okay, back to point. 12!
Zodiac, he had 12 sons and 1 daughter, but 2...
Did you hear that? Because that's what I was referring to. And if you took notes, you would have been able to fucking answer that question. Let's hear it again.
Apostles, the 12 gates to the city. Even Jacob named his children after the 12 signs of the zodiac. He had 12 sons and 1 daughter, but...
I'm fucking sick and tired of being surrounded by people who don't have a goddamn clue what's going on because they simply do not mean to. What the fuck do I know? By the way, I just taught you something. I guarantee it.